How's it going, Thomas? Where are you playing out of?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Home of the best $5 blind games in the country.
I love them.
Is this at 2.5?
Yeah, 2-5 morning.
This is also a 1K buy max buy. Is that right?
Yeah, 1K max buy.
And how deep are you?
He's around 1,500 deep.
All right, so 1,500 effective. Okay.
Or I'm gonna say go 14 effective.
Okay, 1,400 effective.
And hijack opens. I might have played with him like once or twice. Thought he was pretty fishy, kind of loose passive, playing too many hands, not playing them aggressively enough.
Okay.
Jack opens 20.
Yep.
Cut off and button call.
Okay.
And small blind folds. I'm in the big blind with king jack of diamonds, and I squeeze here 99% of the time. But the reason I didn't was because table was complaining because I was squeezing all day basically, and kind of just felt like calling this one and playing it multi-way for better or for worse. But should have been squeezing here, but I called.
So hero calls. So it's a late position. I mean, it's a mid to late position open. You got two callers, and yeah, there's a lot of dead money out here. I mean, I'd be squeezing here a lot. Now, are you a younger guy here, Thomas?
Yeah.
You are a younger guy. Are you like under 25?
Yeah, 20.
Oh, might be playing underage here. Maybe. I actually put a tweet out like yesterday saying that like back in my day, when you saw like a guy your age, like a 20 or 21-year-old at the table, when I was playing full time, there was a very good chance that they were a crusher. This is at the higher stakes because usually they would have come from like an online background and they had just had Black Friday. Now, some of the younger guys are like some of the worst players at the table. Now, I'm not talking about you, Thomas, but I'm just saying that tends to, it's weird how things have flipped around. But it is interesting to know what you say, because I've been in spots like this before where if for some reason you're just playing absolutely insanely aggressive, sometimes we can go through this mental thing where you take certain hands that you actually might have 3-bet before and not play them as aggressive because your non-shown down, like the value of like winning the pot at no showdown might not be as high, or there might not be a frequency of winning a non-shown down pot, but it shouldn't be at the same frequency as it should, because people are going to actually call you down lighter because they think you're overly aggressive. It's almost a parallel to when you have a short-term bad image, when you're supposed to pull it back and value bet more. The way that plays in is you might take the cuspy hands that you would 3-bet in certain situations and not 3-bet them for those reasons. Even with that image though, man, I still think like I would still probably 3-bet here with the open call. But anyways, all right, so you make the call, 24, 60, 80 to the flop, okay?
So it's 10 of spades, 9 of spades, 9 of diamonds. So I flop a gutter and backdoors.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again. It is Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and CrushLivePoker.com is offering 30% off of all plan levels, including the already heavily discounted yearly elite subscription level. All you have to do is click on the link in the description to get this deep discount. And we have a new exciting feature and a new course to announce. We have the Bart bot. This has been in the works for the better part of a year. You can ask the Bart bot any question about poker, and it will point you exactly where to go in our vast library of content with time codes. It's going to be a great way to really maximize your study time. And we have also dropped a new course, the blueprint to Crush Live Poker. Check it out over at CrushLivePoker.com. So yeah, gutter in, but you flop a gut shot here, overcards, backdoor diamonds, okay?
I check, hijack, that's 50. Cut off and button fold, and I raised this hand 175. Kind of felt like this guy was playing a little bit of scared money, and I really didn't think he should be doing a lot of like big betting on this board. So I raised 175. He tanked for like 20 seconds and called.
So the flop is 10 of spades, 9 of spades, 9 of diamonds. You check, hijack goes 50, fold, hero check raises to 175. So you're obviously making a semi-bluff here. A couple thoughts on this one. I know you said that you think he might be playing scared money. The thing about this So you'd have to have that thought like pretty strongly, because in order to set this type of bluff up, and I would definitely watch my, my stack size. I know you start with 1400, because I would say with almost certainty he has something here. And what I mean by something is at least top pair or like a spade draw. Like usually you're not going to fire if the hijack, if he has any idea what's going on here, especially if you say he's playing scared money, he's not betting ace queen of hearts here on this board, or like pocket fours or pocket fives or something like that. So sometimes in this particular spot, I might not semi-bluff because the multi-way nature of the board forces this guy. He forces him to actually have something here. Now, to sort of defend what you're saying, you might not care in the sense that you think he's playing scared money and you can get him off of it. But I'll bring it back to, is that necessarily agreeing with what you said at the top, which is why you didn't 3-bet your hand pre, because people thought you were playing overly aggressive and you're a 20-year-old kid that might be out of line.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. All right.
Thought I would hear from him pretty early. Like I think he had just doubled up the previous orbit. He was a younger guy too, probably mid-20s, that just kind of felt like he came up from like a different game. He doubled up quick. So I kind of felt like he didn't really want to play for it all. Like he was going to throw out C bets and stuff like that, defend 3-bets, but probably not getting it all in without like a good hand.
I mean, obviously you have way more nines probably than he does, right? I mean, you're defending pretty wide here. I mean, especially even to him though, in terms of pot odds and things like that. So you check raise here to 175. Does he call?
Yeah, he calls.
So hijack calls, and now, and that, again, that's definitely not surprising to me. The pot is 430. You put in 350 on the turn. The pot's 430, and you guys probably have something like 1200 left. Before you even tell me what the turn is, what is your plan here, like on true blanks? Like, are you checking like an offsuit deuce, or are you betting and then just giving up on river? Or do you find it like, are you setting this one up where you're really going to put the fear of God into him?
I kind of set this usually the way I play, or my image is pretty. I'm on the nittier side, even though I don't really have that image, but I'm a lot more value heavy for sure in these live cash games than I do when I play like online or tournament, for example. But I kind of felt like this hand, I was just going for it mostly, as long as it wasn't like a completely awful run out.
I mean, again, the only thing I'm going to say about that, and believe me, I've been in this situation before, is it's not necessarily congruent with why you chose not to 3-bet pre, but so you might not get as much credit as you think. All right, 430 to the turn, okay?
Turns 8 of clubs.
So the 8 of clubs, so 10, 9, 9, 8, 10 of spades, 9 of spades, 9 of diamonds, turns the 8 of clubs. So it brings in queen jack, which is obviously a possible draw that somebody could have, and it actually gives you additional equity. You actually now turn open-ended, and I think this is just a pretty good card to continue to bluff for sure.
Yeah, I figured better card for sure. For me, some of my straight draws get there like a Jack 7 suited type hand, or Queen Jack's the most obvious one, and then I pick up open-ended too as a complete backup. So I bet 300 here, and he tanks like a minute and a half, or he tanks like a minute. I think he does it on like kind of the I kind of thought like if he had a strong hand here, like if he had like a Queen Jack of spades type hand, or if he had a 9 on this river, he's definitely
on the turn.
Yeah, on this turn that's so connected, he's definitely like raising, or I'm hearing from it that he has a good hand on this turn.
Well, one thing about that, if he had Queen Jack, I think there probably is a frequency of him raising, okay? And then one sub thing about that, if he actually had Queen Jack of spades, there's probably less of a reason for him to raise. That's when you sort of structure certain slow plays, like if he has the front door. If he had Queen Jack of something other suit, I think he does raise. I agree with you. If for some reason, though, he had like a hand like ace 9 here, I don't know if he's just now all of a sudden raising turn, whether that was his call to your check raise was a slow play or he was waiting for a safe card. I feel like if I'm in his spot and I have ace 9 here, I don't know if I necessarily raise turn now when Queen Jack comes in. It's possible because there might be a lot of hands that you have here that are sort of, backdoor types of hands that now have a jack in it that are, that are open-handed. But just a thought there. So you bet 300 and he calls. Is that right?
I bet 300. He calls.
So now the pot is 1,030. You guys have put in you guys have put in 555. So you've got like maybe 950. You have just under a pot size bet left, right?
Yeah, I think it was like exactly 900.
Okay. Yeah.
So a river's 2 of clubs.
Okay, so the river's a 2 of clubs. That's the biggest brick in the world. 10-9-9 front door spades turns the 8 of clubs. And now the river is the deuce of clubs. So it's not like it completed a spade draw or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
River 2 of clubs. I rip it.
Okay, so you rip it in for like the 900 to 950?
Yeah, 900.
So obviously for 900, I mean, here's the thing, man. I mean, I feel like whether it might not necessarily be the most balanced, like I said, you give me that background and then you get the biggest brick in the world. Now, it would have been different maybe even if it was even a front door spade that had come. I mean, he's going to have, occasional spade draws. That's part of his range, but I do feel like there's just more sheer combos of other hands besides having spades. So that's why I think you probably go for it on the spade. Here on a brick, though, once he calls turn, you have a jack in your hand. It just seems to me like the setup here is that he's not folding an overpair. He might have convinced himself that you're on busted spades, and you gave us that background, and you didn't 3-bet preflop for this reason. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that you played it, except for giving up at the end, possibly giving up here at the end. I just don't know if a guy calls your check raise, then calls 2/3 on the turn. I don't know how often he's going to fold here at the end on the biggest brick in the world. One other little quick note here too is that obviously like you're losing to some ace high spades and like ace king of spades, ace queen of spades, you're even losing like king queen of spades. And then I don't know if he raises like some ace x of spades. And if you wanted to bluff to try to get those hands to fold, you could probably get away with betting like 300-400. Obviously, you're never going to fold any type of like other value for that type of sizing. But there could be a case for under bluff sizing the river here just to get some of those. Give yourself a price to get like 20% of all hands to fold, to get him to fold the draws that beat you. But I don't think he's folding out what you are trying to get him to fold out, in my opinion. So yeah. What ended up happening?
That too, kind of just going like a little exploitative, like smaller bet sizing. That's not really a thing in theory, but kind of like the live cash thing where people think like a certain bet looks more like a value bet and ripping it all in looks more like a bluff. So,
well, I mean, that would be amazing. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yes, absolutely. But I don't think we're at that point, though. I mean, I think it actually makes sense if you had a 9 or queen jack that you had played it this way. But of course, the caller's just talking about how in live poker, like it's a weird spot where sometimes a larger bet size that gives your opponent like a worse price will get called at the same frequency or more often, where you think that the guy thinks he's actually bluffing. So you want to kind of choose a sizing that's more value-y. But I mean, you only have one pot size bet left. I was actually just more talking about getting like the hands that just accidentally beat you to fold out, like some ace highs that have flush draws and things like that, like for like a 20% pot size bet. All right, so you go 900, and what ended up happening?
He tanked for like 5 minutes. He tanked for like 5 minutes.
I hope it wasn't 5 minutes. I hope you called the clock on him if it's 5 minutes.
It was a while. I called clock, and then I call clock, and right after I call clock, he throws a chip in, and he is ace of spades, 10 of diamonds. Ace of spades, 10 of diamonds.
So hijack has ace of spades, 10 of diamonds. And that doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me. And actually, like him having like the ace of spades, I mean, people might be looking at it, well, it blocks you from having like the nut flush draw, I suppose. A lot of times people don't actually play the nut flush draw on these types of boards all that fast. You might. I mean, if you had like ace deuce of spades here on the flop, maybe you might have like heads up or something like that. But nowadays, a lot of people don't even necessarily play the aces. I mean, I would almost rather, like if I were him and I had like, let's say I had like that, like, let's say I had Jack 10 here, Jack of spades, like 10 of diamonds instead of like ace of spades, 10 of diamonds, that would hurt me more. And I'm not talking about the quality of my kicker. I'm talking about the fact that like I have the Jack of spades in my hand, which would be like cut off on all of these, a lot of your types of draws, or the Jack of diamonds, something like that, where you're starting to structure, which is exactly what you had with like King Jack of diamonds. So it really doesn't surprise me. I put that in the same sort of category as him having any overpair here, to be honest with you. The only thing about his hand is just that why he would rather have aces is like really on the turn. Now, I'm not talking about on the river, but just in general, aces is going to have more equity than a hand that you would structure a bluff with on this board on the turn, right? Aces has got way more equity against King Jack of diamonds on the turn, but ace 10 it doesn't. I mean, you still have two overcards and you're open-ended against ace 10 on the turn. That's like 15 outs, right? Three or 14 outs. Whereas with 8, you would just be open-ended with King Jack. So personally, I probably would have given up at the end. It doesn't surprise me, but I like the call. Thank you very much.